Welcome to another edition of Heartland at Home. I'm Michael James. I'm here with Katie Hogan and Tom Clark, and we're going to bring you another interesting show. We've got three guests today. We're going to have our friends Joni Pilato and Bradley Parker Sparrow doing a little Valentine's music. We're going to have Marshall Thompson from the Shy Lights coming on, and we're going to talk with our friend, our neighbor, and the author Crystal Chan, who has two books out. We're going to have a good show. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Enjoy.
So let's hear from Tom about what good things he's been encountering this week during the pandemic. We start our shows out with this for those of you who are new to us. So let's go around. Tom, you got a good...
I got a slot for my shot. That did my spouse, Jean. And as we broadcast this show today, we're hoping to get our first shot later in the day. And we both got it through odd means, and it's a real lottery. And hopefully the supply is catching up with all those of us out here who really would like to get the shot. So it's getting a little better, folks, but be patient because they're not getting to all of us as quickly as we had hoped, but the supply is beginning to catch up. Katie?
I can't remember if I mentioned reading Braiding Sweetgrass last week. Did I?
It's worth mentioning a second time.
Well, it's our book group, and so I'm reading it. I'm reading it like I'm studying it, like I was back in college. I mean, I'm literally counting how many pages I need to read for sure each day so that I'm done by. I'm going to blame COVID, but I'm also attending a Pilates class, which is saving my rear end literally right now, since I can't really walk very far very quickly outside. So how about you, Michael? What good thing in the world is happening in your life?
Well, life is good in many ways. There are a number of things, but I think the highlight of my week was when my son, Jesse James, and his husband, the poet Costas Angelopoulos, were both on a Zoom yesterday. They are involved with Jesse's project, which used to have big shows along the Hudson River at Pier something or other, called Shop Object. Now it's all online, and they were both on panels. Gus, who's Costas, was on a panel about people who opened stores during the time of pandemic, and his is a place called Pigeon in Oak Hill, New York, upstate. And Jesse was on a panel on the state of the market, and we're talking gifts and home improvement things. And they both were on for an hour. They're very clear, very lucid, shared their thoughts. It was great to see them. And if it wasn't for the Zoom boom, I probably never would have been able to participate and watch them in action.
That sounds really cool. So, Katie, we had a resolution about the Illinois State Senate 7th District last week. It was very interesting community engagement. Can you tell us what happened?
Well, it's a question of opinion whether it was very interesting community engagement, but it was community engagement of a sort. The reaction, as we reported for the last couple of weeks, has been active in the neighborhood, in the district. Initially, Indivisible, the 9th CD Indivisible group, very active group, really hardworking bunch, were first out of the blocks, challenging yet another unelected Senate seat to happen. And we talked about the history of that. Some of it is not exactly true. I mean, Heather Staines did run in a primary to win her seat 10, 12 years ago, but little features like that disappeared in the conversation. The committeeman attempted to have a process with a veneer of transparency, but I would say that's as far as they went. Because of all the hubbub, thanks to Indivisible and their partners, many different exposés of the possible appointees happened in a week's time. So those potential candidates spoke no less than 7 times in 5 days to various Zoom arrangements. In any case, out of it all, we've got ourselves a new state senator, and that would be Mike Simmons. He's from Uptown. He is originally from the district. He will be the first Black and first gay state senator from our district. I am observing just once again, as has happened over the decades, the splitting of women and Blacks when it comes to making decisions like this. That's all I'm going to say for now. And I'm
Well,
hoping.
I would like to say that I think that Kelly, who clearly was hoping to get Heather's seat, has been very gracious towards Mike Simmons since then, including riding down to Springfield with him and making sure he understood where the best rest stops were for the best coffee. So I think that she's
Kelly.
getting him ready to hit the ground running. And I'm encouraged by the post meetings apparent sign of unity amongst our representatives. We'll see what happens. But hats off to Network 49, One North Side, and certainly Indivisible for raising the issue and making it a somewhat more open, if not totally transparent process. On another quick update, we've been talking about the movement of a scrap iron plant out of Lincoln Park to the southeast side. There is now a hunger strike underway by activists similar to Network 29, who are part of residents of the 10th Ward. And they're starting a hunger strike now to question the city's code and zoning process that would allow an already environmentally challenged part of the city to get yet another pollution spewing operation going on. And then there's COVID. Some good news is front.
I got some good news from a friend of mine this week who passed on the word that a group of mostly retired healthcare workers, mostly nurses, has formed the Chicago Vaccine Brigade, God love them, to assist with the equity efforts, getting the vaccines to people in under-resourced communities. We are all pretty upset, the faces you're looking at, that we're all looking at having gotten or about to get our first shot. And we know that the numbers are so bad in the Black and brown communities who have been hit much harder. So the Chicago Vaccine Brigade, shine on. Look for it online, and anybody who has the ability, a healthcare professional, they're looking for people to join up. So,
and we just want to pass along the good advice that new research has shown that double masking, even if you have a shot, is going to continue to be important because the variants on this virus we haven't quite caught up with. So be safe, folks. Practice good, not only hygiene and the hand washing thing that we've been doing for months, but when you go outside, we probably need to double mask to be really, really safe.
I think I'll just stick in here the
good ideas.
The good ideas from the pandemic.
Please do.
Since we're on the pandemic, the good idea that I like this weekend is what's happening today in our local park district. We're using public buildings like today at Loyola Park, in public arenas like United Center and Soldier Field for mass testing, vaccinations, and even care in the case of setting up a hospital in McCormick Place. This is good use of our property, people. Even in the case of those arenas, if you look closely, our tax breaks help pay for the new and improved Soldier Field and for United Center, and certainly for, what do they call it, Cellular One now? No, something else. In any case, those are our resources. They should be put to use for our people. And I hope by next week we will have caught up significantly with the more hurting communities on this vaccine process.
One other update is that we do have students and teachers beginning to return to the classroom after reaching an agreement over safety protocols. There's still some gray areas because many teachers have not yet gotten their shot, which is part of the agreement. And there are some concerns that not all schools actually have been fixed up as they have been promised to be. So this issue of trust is still going to need a lot of work between parents and teachers and the school board, because it's been a rocky road. It's new turf for all of us. hopefully we can get through this and at least by the end of March have, some kids back in school and teachers in school. It will not be a normal school year the rest of the year, and maybe we can pick up again in the fall.
Do you have some follow-up on the Indian farmers, Tom, that you wanted to share?
Well, I just wanted to point out that there's an ongoing crisis as small farmers, family farmers, try to overturn new regulations and laws that the Indian government passed a few weeks ago that really favor large agribusiness. They feel that the agriculture business in India needs to modernize, and small farmers are being brushed to the side. They've actually gone so far as to cut off the internet. So women now are picking up the lead because so many of their menfolk have actually been arrested and locked up as they try to protest these new rules. There's also increasing evidence that the Chinese need to be watching what they're doing in the western part of their country with the Muslim population there. The Uyghurs have been undergoing a lot of reindoctrination and education camps, and now even charges of rape in order to eliminate that ethnic population. The Uyghurs are something that even Obama was talking about a few years back. It's one of these crises below the surface because I think the superpower China gets to do a lot of what it wants to do, but it's something that the West is beginning to pay more attention to now, especially that the Biden administration is paying more attention to the Far East, which the previous administration had kind of ignored, except when it came to North Korea and China. So we'll see how that develops.
Well, those are terrible news things that are happening on the other side of the world. The other thing that in the mixed news department, okay, we in the last week have become people who are not helping war happen. This is a good thing. Thanks to the Biden administration, the U.S. is ending its support for the wasteful, tragic Saudi-led war in Yemen, which has starved children. It's just awful. And we are now no longer doing that. It makes me feel much better. At the same moment, Biden administration maintains its commitment to protect that same Saudi Arabia from potential attacks by their neighbors in Iran, possibly Iraq. It's called diplomacy, folks. It's not neat and it's not simple, but at least it's engaged, and at least we stopped being warmongers in one place this week.
So Michael, can you give us a little update on the weed report?
Yeah, I do have a little weed report news. Out of Jamaica, just simply said, Jamaica sheepishly reports a shortage of the ganja. Ay, ay, ay. And bringing it closer to home, out there in South Dakota, 54% of the people, and they were not all Democrats, voted for recreational marijuana. Wouldn't you know it, but some judge, I'm not sure who appointed him, and if it's a man, a woman, or whatever, but has nixed that. So we'll give you an update on South Dakota and beyond when we have it.
Hey, let's, while we're back at home, closer into the nation here, how are we feeling about these impeachment hearings? How are they hitting you, folks?
They're engaging, and when you start watching, you learn a lot of things that you didn't even know. The footage that was out this week that had never been seen before was very revealing. And, I'm not sure how much of it I'm going to keep watching, but right now it's been compelling.
There have been a lot of pundits pontificating that this was a waste of time, that the Senate should get on with the business of government. I can't think of a more important thing than to draw not just a line in the sand, but maybe another wall to make clear what the last 4 years was all about, and particularly what the last 6 weeks was all about. The video backs up what many of us have felt, which is this was indeed the most serious threat against the republic since the war between the states in the mid-1800s. And this guy should be held accountable for it. And I don't care if a bunch of Senate GOP can't bring themselves to vote for what's morally correct, we can hold them accountable in 2022 and 2024. I can't wait for this final vote because I know who we need to be working against once we see the final vote. We did pick up one more Republican vote this week on the issue of constitutionality of this second impeachment. So I'm encouraged by the way the rule of law may actually come forward and play a more significant role than just what folks in the alternate reality of a fake election still seem to be believing and thinking.
I'll believe more in it if more than one Republican comes over to the side of reasonableness. If more than one doesn't, they could all go flag kite as far as I'm concerned.
Well, we got 6 so far. So
Okay.
you're talking one more.
After watching the Capitol policeman saved the life basically of Romney, yeah. Holy smokers. I assume Romney will be on our side. I assume we'll get a few more because of the other thing is that the Trumpsters' lawyers are.
Did he have lawyers show up?
You saw them, right, on the first day?
Well, it seemed to me that they were paralegals in striped suits. I can't imagine either one of them actually ever prosecuted anything.
Enough on that.
Since they're not prosecuting this case, that's a good thing, but one of them is a prosecutor. Anyway, it's kind of sad. As a friend of mine said, they don't have a twig to stand on.
No.
Anyway, let's invite our first guest in and move right along. And we'll keep watching this impeachment process, and hopefully we'll get a vote before our next show we can report on. Okay.
Sounds
now
good to
we'll
me.
listen to a tune by our next guest, produced by herself and Fareed Haq, and that is "Do Butterflies Cry?" And we'll come back to Joni Pilato and Sparrow.
So steal the sky from a perfect butterfly with wings that span in nature's diagram.
All right, we're not going to hear the whole song, but that was "Do Butterflies Cry," which, as I mentioned before, was produced by both Fareed Haq and Joni Pilato. And now we're welcoming Joni and Sparrow together. See their cute faces. Hi, you guys.
Hey.
Well, that is a beautiful little ballad type song. What is the idea behind that song, Joni?
You know, when I wrote this song, I just had the music going, and then the lyrics came, and then Sparrow, when he wrote the opening lyric, "So steal the sky,"
Right.
I was like, wow, that set the whole pace of the song, basically. And for the butterflies, do you sleep at night? Do you rest your wings? What is the butterfly plan? So I know this is Valentine's Day, but butterflies have Valentines too, don't they?
Oh,
Absolutely. Now this is exciting because we're giving our listeners a first hearing of this song, which is, as you pros say, dropping this weekend, right?
I know. Where did that term come from?
I don't know. I don't know, but Lynn likes to talk like that to me, so I pick it up and I go, okay, the song is
So basically, what it means is that it's going to be available on all the digital outlets for people that like to stream on Spotify or get their iTunes, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Actually, the butterflies actually dropped the song
There you go.
after they wake up in butterfly sleep.
That's
Plus,
something.
plus the video.
Mhm.
We did a video last year, 2020, before you know what,
Yeah.
in Costa Rica. at a butterfly garden, a beautiful place
Oh
there.
my God.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so that's gonna come out also on Friday. Both the singles gonna drop from the butterfly and the YouTube. The video will be uploaded to YouTube.
So how during the COVID time, how does your audience find you?
Well, social media and
Yeah, and which forms, what's your basic platform that you're reaching out to people? Is it a Facebook or is it a
Old-fashioned telephone.
no,
You just call somebody on the phone, they're scared. Why are you calling me? Something
I want to play you something on the phone.
well, Sparrow always used to say that, all the money you spend on marketing, just stand out on the street corner downtown and just hand out CDs. Like here, this
So that would mean that Bradley is the kind of carny that the guy on the bottom of this totem pole is, Michael James.
What do you mean the
Stand
bottom?
out on the corner. Used to
I'm in
be
the
his
middle.
favorite thing. What did you used to yell out, Michael?
When I was selling papers, I'd say, time to take the chain from the brain, time to get back in the people's game. Time to move it from the lower level to the higher, from the shallower to the deeper, from the one-sided to the many, and from the abstract to the concrete. Get your copy of Rising Up Angry. Get your copy of Joni and Sparrow's new record.
Now, what's really exciting is at the end of the month, you're up for an award with the Chicago Music Awards, which of course will be online. But congratulations, Lifetime Achievement Award for extraordinary contributions to the music industry.
I
mean,
know.
who would have thought?
It's such an honor, and it was a surprise. And I guess I have to really start working hard now. If this is a lifetime achievement, I don't know. I don't know why you weren't included, but anyway.
There's always next year.
Isn't
No,
that
really.
isn't that something that people can vote on?
Yes, thank you, Katie. See, this
Yeah.
is the marketing part.
So it's a virtual awards show, which happens Sunday, the 28th of February, but voting is open until Monday, the 15th of February.
Thank
Right.
you. You can go online, and let's not forget, our label, Southport Records, is nominated in the category of the record label of the year.
Excellent.
So go online and vote at the Chicago Music Awards. I should know that.
Org.
It's org, right?
Org.
not org. And then you'll see right on their website, you can vote and go right to vote. It's easy.
That's
It's
so
good to be
excellent.
included.
And some of our friends and label artists, Tatsu Aoki is in the category of Best Asian Performer. Billy Branch is on the ballot in blues category. So yeah, it's a nice thing.
That's excellent. Do you guys miss performing in front of a crowd?
Yeah, there's a beauty in that. And, as you get older, it gets harder begging for the gig and chasing the club owner down, getting paid at the end of the gig. But everything seems so still now, like there's not like a lot of motion.
It seems to have what now, Brad?
Everything seems still. It's a
Yes.
good time to practice, but then if you don't have a gig, who knows that you practiced?
You do, I do.
Well, there's
Guilt feeling, I should play all these songs every day, twice a piece, so I don't forget them as I get older.
So
you know what? There's something about physical exercise that is like that too right now.
All exercise this afternoon. Oh, maybe tomorrow.
I have a grandson who's learning piano, and here are two veterans, and I'm hearing you use the P word, practice.
Practice.
How do you encourage newcomers to an instrument to not just try to enjoy it, but also practice to enjoy it better? We've decided to stop using that word around the house, but any advice?
I think if you have something consistent, you can actually see your dexterity growing, your brain growing, and it actually works. Practice actually works. In fact, Ramsey Lewis is in the paper this week. He's retired, but he's doing broadcasts from his home.
Streaming.
And he says, I got to make sure I do my scales and play my Chopin so that if I try to play a jazz riff, it comes out right the way I want it. So practice is good, but easier said than done.
Indeed.
Yeah, I remember having a little book that my piano teacher expected me to fill out and bring to her at the end of the week with all my practice sessions in it.
I would get stickers on my music when I was, in grade school.
Okay, we're going really far afield here, but I'm just going to keep following it, because if I actually learned a piece and did it well, I'd get a little bust of a Mozart or Beethoven in little white stone thing. I loved it. Made, like,
should I say this about practicing for me personally?
About what?
About practicing.
Yes, go ahead.
So I'm more like Barbara Streisand. She says that she never sings around the house in the shower. She doesn't practice. I really don't practice either.
Well, I could have fooled me.
Well, I don't know. I always warm up and vocalize, even days I'm not singing. Like before this, if I hadn't warmed up my voice, I'd be talking to you and I would sound like this, right? So I don't know.
Maybe we should start warming up before we
How
go.
do you warm up? Give us a little sample of the warm
All
up.
right, wait a minute. Time out. None of that.
No, you got to pay for that, Tom.
Yeah,
Or Michael.
right.
It is absolutely delightful to spend a few minutes with you folks.
Thank you.
We are waiting to return to the studio someday where we can do a longer segment and
I know.
enjoy several different pieces of music, because you are
Actually,
some of our
like,
favorite music makers. And thanks for joining us. We
Can I
appreciate
read
it.
one little thing from my best friend, a Valentine? Do we still get Valentines?
Sure.
My best friend Joyce Grace, back in Ohio since the first grade. She sent me a Valentine. I love you not only for what you are, but for what I am when I'm with you.
Aw.
Oh,
Hugs, virtual hugs to you guys.
Thanks so much.
Peace, and enjoy this beautiful snow that's fallen.
It is pretty.
Yeah.
Be well, stay safe.
Likewise, thank you.
thank you.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
No time for crying, no time for tears. Got no time for crying, no time for tears. We've got work to do.
We'd now like to welcome a neighbor and an author, Crystal Chan. Crystal has been having some pretty fascinating conversations on Facebook at a time when we've been trying to come to grips with our racist past, with trying to bring equity issues into more of what we're doing. It's really clear that people of color are still having challenges having an equal place at the table, if I can set this up that way for you, Crystal.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about how this construct of race that we're trying to grapple with and what we white people are trying to learn about it and do better about. You've really just jumped in the middle of it. And I'm wondering if you'd be willing to give us an example of how you've engaged and shared a recent encounter in the neighborhood and how that conversation commenced and how people related to it.
Yeah, sure. I really believe in my heart of hearts that one of the most fundamental ways to heal racism and to do racism work is on the deepest level of one's person's being, at the essence of the essence, whether you call it the spirit, the soul, the self, the I, the whatever, okay, the Atman. And to really be able to heal at that level takes an extra layer of intention and awareness of like, oh, there's this fundamental essence that connects us all. So there are many ways to approach it. That's one of the ways that I kind of in different layers approach it. One way was by sharing the story that happened. This was a couple of months ago when it was warmer and the lake was melted and water. And I was sitting on, no, I was swimming or water walking because I'm too lazy to swim. And I was in the lake and just basically kind of like doing laps between two piers at the beach. And I'm walking on the sand and I'm in the water, and I see that there's this black man who is sitting at the edge of one of the piers that I was going back and forth between. And he was just gazing contemplatively out at the horizon. And I am a contemplative myself, as well as an activist, which is a fun combination. But I saw him every time I would go back and forth, and do my laps. I would see him, he would almost not even move. He was just so absorbed in the moment. And it was in the morning, and the sky was still kind of like pastel, beautiful, numinous kind of quality. And it was just really apparent that he was having quite a moment. And after a certain time, I felt within me kind of the call, and from the water level, I shouted out to him, and I was like, "You look so peaceful." And he kind of like started, and he was like, "Oh, well, I've been watching you, and you look so peaceful going, doing your walking laps." And we started talking, and about just the beauty of the morning and how calming and grounding it is, especially in this time, and connection with nature. And that was when he told me that he comes out to this pier almost every day, and he basically meditates and contemplates out at the edge of the pier on the water, and that feeling kind of like this kind of primal, beautiful spirit. He didn't say that word, but that was kind of the feeling for it. And I said, well, how often do you go swimming? Like, come on in, it's beautiful. And he's like, well, I've never actually been in the water. And I said, never in your life? And he said, no, I have never been in the water. And I was kind of shocked, right? Because he goes out there. So it was so apparent that the call was so deep that this man goes out every day onto this pier. And he said, like, it looks really beautiful, but I've never really been in the water. And he paused. And he said, like, I'm kind of nervous about it, actually. And I was like, well, if you're just going up to your ankles, and then you can say you've been in the water, and it's like, and for some reason, there was just this really gorgeous connection. And I was like, I'm here. Don't worry. No riptide's going to sweep you away if you go in up to your ankles or whatever. And before I know it, this guy is coming off of the pier down the beach. And he steps into the water for the first time in his life, right? And just like having him like feel, like seeing on his face how he's sensing this water of this lake that he obviously loves, but has feared or felt not safe around. And then before I know it, he's walking in right up to my level. So now like we're at about like mid chest level of water. Which is also just indicative of his joy and his like, oh my God, like if I can do this, then I can do that, kind of a thing. And he talked about just how amazing it was to actually be in the lake. And he put his hands on the surface of the water. He's like, wow, I can feel the surface of the water. Things that obviously like a lot of people take for granted. But this man was and he was maybe in his 30s or 40s. He was feeling it for the first time of his life. And we just kind of both like, we shared this moment of feeling the transcendence of water in that moment. And there was something really deep that was going on at that time, as well as like, from a racial level, a moment of connection and a moment of healing. So I posted that on Facebook. I posted that experience on Facebook. And I think that was a really important story. I post a lot of conversations that I have on Facebook because I like to talk to strangers. But I think one of the reasons why it was so healing, not just for him, but for the people who would read it, and for a lot of the white people who read it, is for them to see in like kind of a almost lived out experience, but kind of by reading my conversation. We too long for transcendence. We as POC, Black men long for transcendence. Black men have this spirit within them that we can also connect with. And that spirit is experienced across people and places and time and cultures and race. Because so I really do think, yes.
As a white person trying to continue to undo racism. And I'm in this opposition of asking for advice. But what is it we can do to listen better in this journey? What tools have you developed to create the space to allow these sort of conversations to happen?
Definitely compassion and respect. My folks know this like ad nauseum. Every comment must, not just to me, but to everyone else there. So like other commenters have to abide by the rules of compassion and respect. Respect is pretty clear cut. Compassion, actually, I define as the commitment to actualize the equality of every human being. So basically, we have not like to acknowledge that we are actually already existentially equal, but compassion is the commitment to actualize that equality. Like, what does that equality look? What does that existential equality look at? Like when you embody that and flesh it and act it out. And so those two qualities are what I require for all commenters. And we tackle all kinds of different issues, you know, sexism, homophobia, lots of things where usually on social media, these kinds of conversations are pretty famously known to crash and burn, right? And instead on my page, because everybody plays by the same rule, you know, of compassion and respect, these conversations are really taken to a deeper level of risk and vulnerability, openness, and sharing. And I do want to add that an important, I don't demand it, but I try to model it as much as possible. And I think that it's been starting to make a little bit of impact on people, is the quality of humility. I think that humility is one of the qualities that is really underplayed and yet most needed in anti-racism work, justice work in general. There's a lot of, I've had a number of conversations, kind of troubling conversations among white allies at just how pride among white allies is endemic and like, well, I'm more woke than you are. And so I'm a better human being than you are. And I'm going to shame you and you need to do your homework, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like there's that sense of still a sense of superiority, even among white allies, that I think can really be purified from white ally circles. So I think in general, like we're all human beings. We all wrestle with humility, especially in times of, you know, when you are being harmed, you know, like how do I stay humble even in the midst of a whole bunch of white people sometimes who hurt me and I want to kind of go off on all of them, you know, like how do I stay humble? How do I model that humility? Because truly having that sense of pride of like, I am better than you or you or you or all of yous, that actually dehumanizes me because I lose touch of my own flawed self. I lose touch of my my full humanity, including my shadow side. And if I don't keep track of who I am as a full human being, like the best parts and the worst parts, I'm actually dehumanizing myself. So humility, I think, is really important, not just for white people, but for all of us as a country, especially in these polarized times as we continue along.
Have you seen a shift in the conversations people are having during the pandemic, given that it also crossed paths with a major increase in the awareness of the Black Lives Matter movement? That cross section has been an interesting thing to observe.
Yeah, I've seen across the board fatigue. I've seen a lot of fatigue, and I've seen a lot of POC giving up on white people.
Yeah, too.
You know, I've seen it and it's pretty consistent. And it's kind of like, okay, they showed up in the streets and yet we still have capital, you know, it's so one example, even here in Rogers Park, there's a movie theater in Rogers Park, right? And it was really harmful, actually. But you could tell this is what like liberal, white, supposedly woke people do that actually hurt you, like a lot. It was, they had like the marquee, and usually where they put like the names of the movies or whatever. But it's coronavirus, so you don't have names of movies because, you know, so instead they have, but it was early in the pandemic. I don't know. I think it was early in the pandemic with George Floyd. And so they had like Black Lives Matter, you know, because everybody did, you know, very, you know, in a very cynical way on my end. Everybody has it. It says Black Lives Matter. And then like right underneath it, the marquee said 50% off popcorn, you know, just like this and this and this and this. And it was just like you're so trivializing. Like this is all just really part of your promo. And so I think there's just a lot of POC who have just given up on white people. And I think that on top of the fatigue of the pandemic, it, you know, they kind of play off of each other because it's hard to have hope when you're exhausted, right? On top of everything else. And so I think that's one thing for white allies and people who want to be white allies to know is just how wounded and tired a lot of POC are, and even believing that even the good ones, and I'm putting that under quotes because everyone is still in process, can be harmful. I have literally in the last week, I have been in 4 spaces of white leadership, of supposedly white ally leadership that have turned very, very, very harming. And so, I mean, what more can you do, you know? And it's, I would say that's one of the things that white people should know.
Crystal, before we let you get on with your day, I'm just curious, why did you pick Rogers Park as someone from Wisconsin? And what are you going to do when we have a chance to do regular things again?
Oh my God. The first thing I will do, I'll answer that question first, is I will go into live theater, and when the whole audience is there, but like maybe a minute before the show starts, I will stand up in the audience and I will say to everyone, because I am a type 8 on the Enneagram and this is what we do, I will say, okay, everyone, we're all here together. Let's clap and shout and breathe the air at the same time. And I will encourage a roarous applause, sharing air together. That's what I will do.
Wonderful.
Why did I choose Rogers Park? I chose Rogers Park because of the diversity. I am mixed race, Chinese, Polish, and there's Black neighborhoods, there's Latino neighborhoods, there's all sorts of neighborhoods. Where is there a neighborhood for mixed race? There's none, you know, and that's part of what I have to deal with my reality. So certainly diversity, and the reality is with the gentrification of Rogers Park, and the whiteness that is really, really apparent. I'm starting to feel more and more uncomfortable here in Rogers Park, actually, and that it's not home at this point. So it's hard, right? I love it, but I also know that most neighborhoods in the city are gentrifying, and so it's kind of like as a POC, where do you go? The resources are limited. So I do love Rogers Park, and it is starting to really be qualified by the race and class gentrification.
Where do we find the books that you've written?
Certainly on Amazon, Crystal Chan. My first book is Bird, just the simple word Bird. And that has flown across 10 countries and multiple continents. Really excited about a mixed race character, mixed race girl living in the middle of Iowa. And then my second novel, All That I Can Fix, is about a teenage mixed race boy living in the middle of Indiana. So not based off of my experience, truly living in the Midwest. But you can find them both on Amazon or on my website, www.crystalchan.net.
Okay, Crystal, I just want to say as we let you go, one, it was great to meet you. However, briefly, I can recognize that you are a neighbor. I've seen your face.
Great.
And I just wish for all of us that, because we are all people who want to make a better world for everyone, that we manage to do a better job of it here in Rogers Park than the one that you've experienced lately. Okay?
All
That's
right.
what I'm hoping.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Crystal.
Thank
Be
you.
well, be safe, be good. We'll talk soon.
Great. Thank you all.
Oh, girl, I'd be in trouble if you left me now. 'Cause I don't know where to look for love. I just don't know how. Oh, girl, how I depend on you to give me love when I need it. Right on time, you would always be. All my friends call me a fool. They say, let the woman think.
I love that song. It reminds me of my youth. Oh, girl. Oh, girl. Yeah.
That's
So
what's happening.
how long ago was that recorded,
We did
Marshall
that. We
Thompson?
did that in 1972.
Oh, man, I was thinking it was even earlier than that.
Right, 72 is when we did that record. Yeah.
Wow.
Earlier than that, we did our first million seller was Power to the People.
We're welcoming now to the show Marshall Thompson, who is a Chicago local and one of the original members of the Shylights, whose song we just played, but he's still active and putting together music. And so we want to highlight a little of that right now.
Let's start off, Marshall, with you filling in some of our younger listeners, a little information on the Shylights. They were big in our lives and, ring a lot of bells when we hear it. Some people, though, are new to the music. You fill them in.
Oh, well, first of all, we started years ago when they had out Monkey Time and things like that. I started with Gladys Knight and the Pips at the Regal Theater on 47 and King Drive with my snare drum. I went there to get my first job. She gave me my first break right there at the Regal Theater. I left Gladys Knight after playing for her for a week. I went with Major Lance. He had a record out called Monkey Time, #1 record. And I went with him for about 2 years. Came back, and then I went downtown and seen Otis LaBelle and Major Lance downtown, and they took me up to see Mr. Carl Davis. So I went up to see Carl Davis, and Jackie Wilson come up the steps and they said, "What y'all doing there?" I said, "We're gonna have an audition today." So he took us in there for audition with Carl Davis, and Carl Davis loved our singing, and Mr. Jackie Wilson, he said, "Man, you got to sign those guys." So we ended up getting signed right there.
Marshall, can you tell us about this new project, Shy Sound Records?
Well, Shy Sound Records, that's was the label of Carl Davis before he passed away. Gus Redmond and them have it together now. They're doing this peace song. We had a lot of cuts with Shy Sound back in the day after we had all our big hits. After we left Flip Wilson's show and the Dick Clark show and the Soul Train show and things like that. So Guy Daniels, he put this one together and he called me up. I was on tour. I was coming back just on my way back home and from tour, and he said, "Hey, would you all come out and sing background on this song?" So we went in there and did the background, and I said, "Wow, that's a great song." And then that's happening. So we went in there and did it, and then we just cooled out till they released it, And by the way, then if you talk about the youngsters, Beyonce did our song "Crazy in Love." That's our show.
Yes.
Sorry, my woman. And then Jay-Z did December 4th. Her husband did December 4th. MC Hammer did our song "Have You Seen Her?" And that brought the young folks back to us when we did outside concerts. When people bring their families and all the young people, they bring the young people with them. They trying to figure out, we don't know those old guys. Then we start singing, they hear our music, but they don't understand that our music is what we gave the young people. So they start singing it the way Beyonce sang it, and we sang it the way we made it. So it works out really good.
And not to leave any stone unturned, you also penned a book called Last Man Standing.
Yeah, my book is something else. It goes all the way from the beginning when I had the Jackson 5. Had the Jackson 5 Purvis Band, had the Jackson 5 at the Regal Theater, and the Shine Lights was one of the top acts on there with Bobby Taylor. So Jackson 5 was singing on stage downstairs, and Bobby Taylor, I went up to talk to Bobby Taylor, and Bobby Taylor said, "Hey, Marshall, who is that making all that noise downstairs?" I said, "That's the Jackson 5. He said, "Hey, take me on downstairs and introduce him to me." So I took him downstairs and introduced him to Mr. Joe Jackson, which was my partner at the time. And next thing I know, I get a call that next morning from Joe Day. He said, "Marshall, we on our way to Detroit for Motown." I said, "What? Where? You're going to Motown?" So they end up in Motown, and it was history from there.
Wow. You must have a million stories like that.
Oh yeah, quite a few. Quite about the New Edition. New Edition, we was playing in Boston at Roscoe's.
Wow.
And the New Edition come on my bus to audition for me. And they were dancing all of them down my bus. And I said, "Hey, one thing wrong with you all. I can't put no dancing on no record." So Maurice Starr was at our show at Roscoe's, called Roscoe's, right around the corner from the New Edition, was living around the corner in the projects around the corner. And I said, Maurice, do something with these kids, man. They want me to audition, but they were jumping on my bus, dancing all of them. They can really dance. They were dancing all of them down my bus, but one thing I can't put no dancing on no record. So
what decade was that? What years? What was that? The 60s or the 70s?
Yeah,
New Edition was 70s.
That was the 70s. Yeah, we was hot then. We was really hot with all the big hits. Yeah, that's how we left Flip Wilson's show and all that. We had our own tour bus, a personal tour bus. And New Edition come on there and danced all of them down my butt. So Maurice Starr took them, and he took New Kids on the Block, got both of those groups together, and went in there. And next thing I know, there was history for them.
Marshall, on your book, Last Man Standing, tell us a little bit about the title and what that means.
Well, first of all, I'm the last original member of the Shy-Lights. That's why I named it The Last Man Standing. But it takes you back to all the stories of us from the beginning, on the road, back when we first started, when Muhammad Ali was our manager, and we got into Houston, Texas, and I had a gig with Major Lance playing drums with Major, and Major was at the hotel, couldn't get to the Ray Barnett Center Club. So I told Ray, "Hey Ray, he'll be here sooner or later, but give me that microphone, let me sing something." So I went in there and sung some Gene Chandler. I went to Rainbow and Nothing Can Stop Me. And then after I got through singing, Major was on his way there. So the club owner, Ray Barnett, said, "Man, you can go." I said, "You think I can go? Wait till you hear my group in Chicago." The Marshall and the Highlights. That's what we were then. So he said, "Man, Marshall and the Highlights can't draw no people in there. They don't know who y'all are." I said, "Well, my manager, Muhammad Ali, is right up the street at the hotel there. Why don't you put his name up on the marquee? Let him bring the people in there." So he brought us back with the group from Chicago. I brought all of them to Houston, Texas, the Ray Barnett Center Club, and people was wrapped around the block with Muhammad Ali's name up on the marquee.
Well, we're going to play the song Peace as we go out, which is a lovely piece, and it's also a lovely message for right now. Given that you're still here and you're still in the same neighborhood you grew up in, right?
Oh, no, not there. No. So I'm in Frankfurt, Illinois.
Oh, you're in Frankfurt. Okay, thank you. All right. So, but do you have ties in the old neighborhood?
Oh, I go down to the old neighborhood a lot, just to see some of the old fans, to help them out with the music and help them in the business. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good. Mm-hmm. Anybody have anything before we let Marshall go?
You got any new projects you want to hip us to?
Well, we got the peace song #1. Then we got a thing called Shy-Lights and Friends, Love on the Two-Way Street. Okay, that's one of the ones that's kicking off already right now across the world. And then, of course, in coming up very soon, we're getting our Hollywood Walk of Fame star on Hollywood.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, great.
That's right. Yay, that's exciting.
That'll give me a reason to go visit Hollywood.
Right on.
Well, what a treat to meet you, Marshall Thompson, and to just assure you, as I'm sure you know, you made a lot of people happy with your music over the years.
We really appreciate that, and it's fun being on you all show today. I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
See you again, my friend.
Thank you.
Blessed love to each and every one. This song is a prayer for peace around the world. written by Guy Daniel, who said then Roy Morgan pray the prayer and let the shine light sing the song.
Peace. It's a long time coming. Peace. Don't you know that we're finally on our way? The world says that the yes man is the king of swing. The end.
What a delightful conversation with a guy who's still kicking out a lot of stuff for us. It's really amazing. We want to mark the passing of probably, I think, one of Chicago's most important political leaders who never got elected. Karen Lewis passed this week after a long struggle with brain cancer. She was really bolstered and revived the Chicago Teachers Union, which is one of the strongest unions in the country and has just been through yet another struggle with the Board of Education to try to get safe classrooms for students and teachers. So our hats off to a phenomenal career and very smart, witty, powerful woman who we were blessed to have in the Chicago scene.
Someone reminded me this week of the conversation that she had with the newly elected mayor, Rahm Emanuel, in his office, which I can't say on the radio because, you know, it was Rahm. So it was profane, shall we say. But she rose to the occasion after he first gave the first FU. She stood up and said it right back to him.
Yeah.
Who do you think you are? And it went on for a couple of seconds, back and forth. I'm sure that the secretaries in the outside office were sort of going, whoa, whoa. Karen, what a rock star, what a great struggler for the rights of others. Be at peace, girl, be at peace.
We'd also like to mark the passing of Ann Feeney. She was a folk singer and activist out of Pittsburgh. I met her there at an event she was at. She did play the Heartland once. She was inspirational, and we were very sorry to learn of her passing. It was
From
reported.
COVID.
We learned it from the Guardian newspaper. On the sports front, many of us have taken heart and really been supportive of athletes taking the knee to show their questioning of the injustices that they have to endure in America while we're celebrating the flag. Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, decided that too many players were still taking the knee, too many people in the stands were not paying attention when the flag was being celebrated with the national anthem, and he canceled it. And
Canceled what, Michael?
canceled the playing of the national anthem before the game.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, he proceeded to do that, and it went on for a while. And lo and behold, all of a sudden, the right wing got hold of it, and they decided to address that rather than the hearings going on in D.C. around the past president. The NBA came right back and reinstated the requirement that people have to stand for the national anthem. So let's expect that progressive athletes everywhere will begin taking more knees. The
only event we're going to let you know about this week is next week's Network 49 membership meeting, the follow-up on our values conversation. That will be Saturday, February 20th from 11 to 1 p.m. And that's where we get into our work groups. Everyone's invited. We'll keep you posted. Network 49, Saturday, February 20th. Okay, so as we go out, we just want to say for 25 years, for over 25 years, Live from the Heartland has been doing this thing. And in the pandemically inspired Heartland at Home, we are broadcasting still in our Saturday morning 9 a.m. slot, as well as streaming on WLUW.org, posting ourselves on youtube.com/heartlandmedia, and cablecast all week long on KNTV, usually channel 27, but sometimes 21. In any case, it really messes with my face to have to be on TV.
Okay, and Twin Peaks, Still Our World, will take us out.
So please do good in the world.
The world needs all the good we do.
All power to the people, and don't forget to wear your mask.